Okay, now the third article on this, the second one's a list of the sites that you hear this bullshit from. The third one, however, is the one that I really want to talk about, because often you hear, as this one man's rage did on the video that I described earlier, said that there's all these statistics that women are more violent than men and things of this nature. Well, the Southern Poverty Law School went out and actually got the evidence, and this is what we find. Misogynists in the men and fathers' rights movements have developed a set of claims about women to support their depictions of them as violent liars and manipulators of men. Some suggest that women attack men, even sexually, just as much as men attack women. Others claim that vast numbers of reported rapes of women, as much as half or even more, are fabrications designed to destroy men they don't like or to gain the upper hand in a contested custody case. What follows is a brief look at some of these claims and what best science really shows. Claim: men's rights activists often insist that men are victimized by sex crimes and abuse just as much as women, if not more. This assertion is meant to support their contention that courts and laws outrageously favor women. Now, how many of us have heard that over and over again? I know I've heard it over and over again out of these assholes spamming comment sections. What's it say in reality? A major 2010 study by the Centers for Disease Control's National Center for Injury Prevention and Control thoroughly debunks such claims. Nearly 1 in 5 American women, 18.3%, the study found, have been raped. The comparable number of men is 1 in 71, 1.4%. Not only that, but more than half, 51.1% of female victims reported that their rapist was an intimate partner, a current or former spouse or boyfriend, or a date. According to the 2000 study by the Department of Justice, female rape victims were also about twice as likely as male rape victims to be injured during an assault, 31.5% versus 16.5%, even though many women do not physically resist their attackers for fear of injury. Overall, the studies found most violence of all kinds against women, 64%, came from current or former intimate partners, while that is true for only about 1/6, 16.2% of men. Women were also far more likely to be stalked than men, 16.2% versus 5.2%, and 2/3 of women's stalkers, 66.2%, were current or former intimate partners compared to 4 in 10 for men, 41.4%. A 2005 Department of Justice study also found that between 1998 and 2002, 84% of spousal abuse victims were female, as were 86% of victims of abuse at the hands of a dating partner. Males made up 83% of all spouse murderers and 75% of dating partner murders. Okay, boys, your bird's just been spun. What are you going to do now, you little assholes? It's fun when I have numbers to play with, because then I can shove them right up your ass. And that makes me feel better. Claim. In another effort to show that men are discriminated against, many men's rights activists assert that women attack men just as much as men attack women, if not more. The website mensactivism.org is one of the many criticizes what it characterizes as the myth that women are less violent than men. Reality. Men's rights groups often cite a work of Deborah Cabaldi, a researcher with the Oregon Learning Center, to back their claim. Cabaldi did find that women sometimes initiate partner violence, although women involved in mutually aggressive partner relationships were more likely to suffer severe injury than the men. But Cabaldi studied only a very particular subset of the population at risk, youth, rather than women in general, invalidating any claim that her findings applied generally. In fact, the 2000 Department of Justice study found that violence against both women and men is predominantly male violence. 9 in 10 women, 91.9%, who were physically assaulted since the age of 18 were attacked by a male, while about 1 in 7 male assault victims, 14.2%, or victimized by females. Similarly, all female rape victims in the study were attacked by a male, while about a third of the male victims, 35.8%, were raped by a female. Claim. Close to half or even more of the sexual assaults reported by women never occurred. Versions of this claim are mainstay of sites like registerher.com, which specializes in vilifying women who allegedly lie about being raped. Such claims are also sometimes made by men involved in court custody cases. The reality: this claim, which has gained some credence in recent years, is largely based on a 1994 article in the Archives of Sexual Behavior by Eugene Canine that found that 41% of rape allegations in his study were false. But Canine's methodology has been widely criticized, and his results do not accord with most of other findings. Canine researched only one unnamed Midwestern what the fuck? One unnamed Midwestern town? And he didn't spell out the criteria police used to decide an allegation was false. What an asshole. Alright, moving on. The town also polygraphed or threatened to polygraph all alleged victims, a now discredited practice that is known to cause many women to drop their complaint even when it's true. In fact, most studies that suggest high rates of false accusations make a key mistake, equating reports described by police as unfounded with those that are false. The truth is, unfounded reports very often include those for which no corroborating evidence could be found, or where the victim was deemed an unreliable witness, often because of drug or alcohol use or because of prior sexual contact with the attacker. They also include those cases where women recant their accusations, often because of fear of reprisal, a distrust of the legal system, or embarrassment because drugs or alcohol were involved. The best studies where the rape allegations have been studied in detail suggest a rate of false reports of somewhere between 2 and 10%. The most comprehensive study, conducted by the British Home Office in 2005, found a rate of 2.5% for false accusations of rape. The best U.S. investigation, the 2008 Making a Difference study, found 6.8%. So, these are the numbers, buddy. These are the numbers that actually exist. Now, one man's rage, the dipstick that he is, made the claim that he had gotten all his information from these various areas, and yet we've just discovered that his information is completely false. This goes for almost all the MRAs. What we are dealing with here is not something that is interested in actual rights. It's a group dedicated to hatred. And that is why they are now on the radar of the Southern Poverty Law School. And I'm bringing this up for a very specific reason. As this study just demonstrated, just as with the trafficking numbers that are an amalgam of people who just happen to go across state lines for their job, as opposed to people that are actually severely trafficked, but they're all treated as one group. The same thing happened with these high allegations of rape studies. Now, I did have a professor who worked in law enforcement that said that he found that upwards of half of the allegations he investigated were false. But first one, he was just one guy, and he was in a setting where, without getting in too much into it, there were very, very real repercussions for adultery in the setting that he was in. So there was an increased likelihood that someone might lie about having, for instance, an affair or engaging in some sort of sexual conduct and then claiming that it was actually not consensual, and usually they found that the allegation were false anyway. So that's going to skewer the numbers. Now, the other part of this needs to be said, and I think that we need to be honest about this as humanly possible. We aren't dealing with people that are going to be honest and really want to discourse and really want some sort of dialogue about this for the most part. The people that really want a dialogue aren't talking like this. They're not doing stuff like this. What is going on here is pure and simple hate. Hate of women, hate of feminism, hate of anything that they think has a vagina, including other men apparently. Why? We could go around and around all day about why. It could be any number of insecurities. For the vast majority of us who have some sort of insecurity, it's something that we overcome, and it becomes a very, very small part of who we are that might pop up during moments of weakness. But we get past it, and we leave it in the wreckage of what we call our past. And even when it is still with us, we learn to listen to it less and less, and we don't allow it to dominate our lives. Now, once again, I can only guess at the foolishness that engages in this. Now, in particular, to when Thing Too Cool For You got involved with this numbskull named Outspoken Man. I'm going to re-upload those videos, by the way, dealing with that asshat. He frankly, he was one of these idiots who just assumed that all women are gold diggers and divorce you deliberately. Shit like that. It's bullshit. It's pure bullshit. All this is complete and total bullshit. Now, what are they going to say when they see these videos? Oh, he's been brainwashed. All that. No. We've got the numbers. The information is there. It's going to be linked in the low bar, and I advise everybody to look at these articles. I also advise everybody to mirror these things, because these fuckers are probably going to try and flag these videos. And when that happens, I want people to be able to re-upload it if they want and post it wherever the hell they want, because people need to know about the information. Yes, it was International Women's Day, but given the events of the last couple of days, weeks, months, and even years, the fact that we have these wonderful, wonderful, thrill-seeking fucktards on the internet who are doing everything they can to turn back the clock to sometime before the Stone Age. Actually, that's not even an accurate term, because cavemen didn't treat each other this bad. We've already talked about that. This is ridiculous, and the threat is still very, very real for people to lose their rights. One group loses their rights, we can all do it. And we have to be vigilant against this. This kind of stupidity is just going to grow and grow unless it gets checked. But let's always bear in mind one thing. We are not dealing with people with legitimate gripes for the most part. We are dealing with nut jobs. We are dealing with misogynists. We are dealing with hate mongers. We are dealing with people who do not have a rational reason for what they're doing. All they give a damn about is hate. And for that reason, we don't owe them any more respect than we would owe any kind of racist or anti-Semite or anyone else like that. We don't. We have the right to condemn them, to expose them for what they are, and to leave them as wreckage alongside the road in the long, sad, failed attempts at fostering hatred among fellow human beings. And we should not feel bad about it. That's all I've got. Thank you and good night.